is a very special day today. I have got the right time, right? It is 4 p.m. UTC right now. I hope. Is it 4 p.m.? Yes, it is. Ah, I have guests. Guests are joining. Wonderful. Howdy, howdy. I'm glad you guys have turned up. I was mumbling to myself, making sure that it was actually 4 p.m. UTC and I hadn't got all my times crossed up. So yeah, today is going to be a fun day. What do we got? So, I've got the obligatory meh English brew, and I put sugar in as well. I remembered. Cool. So you'll know I've been working on Cassandra relentlessly for quite some time, and there's always been this kind of Twitter demo in the background that's been going on. And really, I probably should have demonstrated it publicly by now, but you know, the way of research is you spend a bit of time looking at one thing and you test that, and then you have to tangent off into something else and do some of that, and obviously with a mainnet launch in the middle and a bunch of other things going on. So it's always just kind of got pushed aside for other things that were happening. And I think it's time that we actually started to promote this demo a little bit and let people play with it and use it. And I know some of you guys will be like, oh well, it's not very polished and it's a bit clunky and the UI isn't great. And it's like, well, true. I'm no UI developer, but we could spend forever and a day polishing this thing and making it a perfect demo, and various opportunities will have passed us by then. At the moment, there's a load of chatter on Twitter about Web3, right? And what does it mean and what does it look like? And this Twitter demo being hosted on the ledger in its entirety with the HTML, the JavaScript, and all of the kind of API calls and the content and the profile pictures and the banners and all that. It's a prime demonstration for the conversation that's happening in Web3 now. And to be honest, having a demo that isn't perfect, it shows it's a work in progress, right? People know it's a work in progress, but they'll also be able to see the incremental improvements as new features go in and be able to kind of follow the journey a bit closer, I guess, with the development of the demonstration and what's happening underneath with Cassandra and all the various things. So I figured, you know what, enough's enough. Let's just show it to the world, and do some things with it. So that's what we're going to do. So today the plan is that I'll run you guys that are in the Twitch just through the demo, explain what it can and can't do, what you can expect it to do now, and what planned features there are coming down the pipe in the kind of medium to short term, of how I want to build this out as a really wow showcase. I don't think it's got the wow yet. I think it's getting close, but I don't think it's got the wow yet. But that's okay. We can build into that. So you guys are going to get early access, right? You're going to get a link after I've gone through the demo, and you can all play with it. And I would urge that you take screenshots or videos or whatever on your phones, and make a big, huge buzz about it on the various socials. So Twitter, Discord, Facebook, Reddit, 4chan, if you even dare to go in there, and just make a big buzz. Right? This is huge. It's huge for me. I spent a long time working on this demo. So please tell every man and his dog about it. And after that, then after we finish the Twitch, I'm going to start to spread the link around on Twitter, on Discord, and Telegram, and just kind of open it up a bit wider, and just get people interacting with it and stuff. So first thing is this demo isn't gonna run for long because I'm actually doing some profiling while I'm doing the import, and it seemed like a good opportunity to put a demo up. It's not critical if maybe half of Twitter decides that this thing's the coolest thing they've ever seen, and they all try and use it at the same time. I've got a little bit of load balancing going on. I've got a bit of rate limiting going on, so we'll avoid any nefarious DDoS stuff. But it's a temporary thing right now, so I figured we'd just run it while I'm doing some optimization profiling on the back end. So once that profiling is finished, which will probably be sometime early hours in the morning tomorrow, then I'll be taking it down. So you've got about 12 hours with it, 12, 13 hours to play around. It may crash. It's not perfect code. It may get overwhelmed if we cause too much hype. It's not optimized in any way. So it's only a small network as well. It is sharded though. It's an 8 shard group network with 8 validators in each. So it's got a good amount of horsepower. Tweets are heavy, really heavy cross-shard operations. So most tweets touch at least 4 or 5 of the shard groups. The feed has a lot of failure-inducing information in it because it's only a partial feed that I'm importing at the moment. From the 1st of January of this year, that's where the feed import starts, and the feed references tweets that I don't have in any of the feeds. So about 20 to 30% of all of the tweets undergo consensus, and then it actually fails. But that's good. That's kind of a good suboptimal healthy network stress test, right? Stuff's failing, and something failing is just as expensive as something going through. You still have to do most of the same stuff. So this is going to run for a few hours until the morning, and then I'll be shutting it down, looking at my profile, optimization profiler, maybe adding some more bits and pieces, doing some bug fixes, tweaking the UI if anyone's getting any good suggestions, all that kind of cool stuff. So what can you do? So this is the first Cassandra Twitter demo, right? So you can basically you can search for users that you might know of, your favorite crypto users or celebrities or any of that kind of stuff. This is like everybody. There's no filtering on who's going in here, right? So this is replaying tweets from the 1st of January this year. So everybody that tweeted from that point is likely in here, right? Like I said, I don't have a complete feed, but anybody that's, say, above 100k users, you will find them go in at some point. So you're able to search for users, you're able to look at hashtags, search for those, navigate around, look at threads, read threads. One thing that's interesting is that as the import is going on, let's say this tweet at the top here, this one from Binance, if, as you were looking at this, somebody else retweeted it in the feed, then that counter would increase from 1 to 2 in real time. Or if it got a new reply, the counter would increase from 5 to 6. So that kind of demonstrates that this is an actual live feed coming in, right? It's been running at the moment for a few hours. So currently we've got about 3 million tweets in here, which you might think is a lot, but that actually only covers about half of the first day of January. And it's a partial feed as well, so I'm missing a bunch of stuff. So it's about 10 million tweets per day in the feed that I've got. And it's not running too fast because it's not very well optimized, and I don't want to push it too hard because the profile is quite expensive as well. And I wanted to have some compute available to do this demonstration. But it's running along at about 150 on the back end across those 8 shards, and about 150 imports a second, tweets a second. That's okay, right? It's running. So you can search, you can find users, you can navigate threads. So if we click on this one, you can see the thread comes up. We've got all the profile pictures and banners and stuff going in where I have them. I'm missing some profile pictures for people. I'm missing some banners for people, but they're kind of popular accounts. I have profile pictures for them. I have banners for them. I also have media, which I haven't enabled yet, but I can like pictures and stuff and memes and things like that. That's one of the things I'll I'll flip the switch on in the near future, so you'll get kind of pictures and stuff pop up, right? And maybe even videos too. We can see, so this has now had 2 retweets in the time that we've been looking at it. Some of these replies sometimes get retweets and stuff as well, so you'll see them. I don't have likes enabled at the moment because the feed doesn't include likes, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about them. Maybe massage them or something, so there's at least a number there. But I don't actually get like information in the feed, so I need to think about something to do there. Tips is also pending, but it's one of the future features that I just need to wrap up and do some tweaks on, because some of the state model in Cassandra and stuff has changed, and that's currently broken. I need to finish that off. But this is kind of the basic demo, right? You can navigate around, you can look for people, you can search for things to see who's around, right? So quite basic, but I think okay. It's an okay demo right now. So what do I want to do moving forward? Well, we've already touched on the tweets, the tips, so that's something that I want to do. But I also want to enable the ability for new users to kind of join this feed as it imports, right? So I could create a not the real Fusilier handle, and then I'd be able to push tweets in to this replay of Twitter, but tweets that don't exist in the feed, right? Just create a new one, so we could start our own conversation in here between us while all of these legacy tweets from Twitter are being imported, right? And so that's kind of the next step that I want to do. So somebody can come and look at the demo, they can navigate around, they can click a little button somewhere to say, create an account. They can create, some Twitter account and make some tweets while this is importing the feeds and stuff. And then from there, just kind of build it out, right? So we can have messages and make the like button actually work and do some other things. So essentially, just build up to a fully fledged kind of Twitter clone, if you like, that just happens to have hundreds of terabytes of actual Twitter data on it as well. The Binance page isn't a subtle hint. Well, it's a hint to Binance to say, why the F haven't you guys listed us yet, right? Look what you're missing out on. So yeah, I mean they should have already, right? Surely. I mean, what's going on? So yeah, anyway, so when you're playing around with this demonstration, just bear in mind it's only had a few hours, right? So there'll be a lot of people that you might search for that you won't find yet, right? Even some popular people as well. So for example, I've kind of gone through a list of just some examples. So like if we look for Peter Schiff, right? Let's say we look for Peter Schiff and we want to go to his account. User not found yet. He'll well appear in there eventually, but because it hasn't got to a tweet in the feed from Peter Schiff yet. I mean, really starting from New Year's Day probably wasn't the best idea, because you can guarantee that most of the crypto guys will live in it large on New Year's Eve, right? So most of them probably didn't even tweet on New Year's Day. So I mean, just bear that in mind when you're moving around. Some of the people that weren't in there earlier on now are, so they do pop up eventually, so play around with it for a couple of hours. If the person that you want to see isn't in there, then try again later, I guess. But generally anybody over 100k followers at some point will pop in, and anybody with a million plus that tweets regularly is almost sure to be in there. So like Pomp, for example. Pomp tweets a lot. He's got a lot of followers. His stuff gets a decent amount of retweets. So we've got quite a few of Pomps in there now. Elon, obviously, Elon's in there. Some of the big crypto accounts, 100 trillion USD is not in there. Why have I put him there? That's weird. Okay, my list is even wrong. We get some Cointelegraph. We've got Cointelegraph in there. Whale Alert. Right, whale alerts in there, all kinds of stuff. Some non-crypto peeps. Maybe some of you know some of these. Maybe some of you don't. Mr. Beast's in there. If you're into some Rihanna, we got Rihanna's in there. She doesn't seem to tweet that much, but it picks people up, right? LA Times, New York Times, Washington Post, etc., etc., etc. All those kind of guys in there. So yeah, that's pretty much the explanation, really, right? So play around with it, take screenshots of things, find hashtag. Oh, important, really important, really important. Um, I have got some crude filtering on the Twitter feeds because I have raw Twitter feeds, right? So all of the humanity's sins are included in those feeds. So I have some crude filtering, and it seems to catch 99% of the not safe for work or questionable content. But please just be aware that some of them may have skimmed through if there's some hashtag that isn't obvious or a bit obscure or whatever. So as you're moving around, if you find something that's offensive, my apologies, but I can imagine Twitter has an entire department for this kind of stuff, and it's just me with a crude filter. So please just bear that in mind when you're playing around with it. But the filter seems to do a pretty good job. I don't see anywhere near the amount of questionable content popping up as I did a few days ago. So that's good. Um, what else do I need to talk about? So I mean, it's doing cross-shard transactions. They're atomic. It's using the hybrid consensus system of Cassandra. It's not cutting any corners. All consensus is turned on. The threshold and BLS signature stuff is turned on. Signatures get created. Signatures get verified. All the voting rounds happen. There's no leaders in here. It's doing everything that it's supposed to be doing. So is there a button you only want to look at? Maybe that's a feature request for another time, perhaps. You guys tell me. Okay. So I think I've covered everything actually. So, would you like the link? You guys want a link? Start messing around with this thing. Right, let's get you a link. Where's that link gone? There it is. Okay. There you go. Now I expect to see pictures and videos appearing on Twitter and in the Telegram immediately, because we need to get the word out about this thing. Like this is Web3, right? So front end's in there, middle end is in there, the back end is the ledger, right? That is the thing. All gets served up from the ledger. It's quite responsive, or it seems to be anyway. I'm not sure how responsive it's going to be when we've got 100 people hitting it, but hey, I guess we'll find out right about now. Which reminds me, let me go and just double check on. Let me get the load window up on this machine so I can see how much pain you guys give it. If the import slows down any. I mean, yes, this is Web3, right? It's an application. It's serving itself its own data. You'll be able to interact with it. It's a value network because when the tips are in there, you're able to tip things. You can deploy applications to this ledger. You've got unique resource identifiers so that only one person can have Twitter. If somebody else wants something else, they'll have to call it Twatter. I'm not going to use the profanity version of that. It's a proper internet computer, right? A proper one. So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Yeah, I guess you're all busy. You're all busy clicking around. Let me see how if it's it's still responsive, and I'm guessing there's probably 100 or so people in there right now smashing around on it, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so like this is each request is actually hitting all shards here, right? So every time you do a request, you're going to be hitting those 8 shards because you're asking you're asking for the web content, you're asking for initially at least the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript. Then you've got API requests that are going to go and hit various shards and stuff. Then you've got the profile images that are going to be coming from different shards. You've got all the tweets that are going to be coming from different shards. One thing that was extremely tricky to figure out was how do you do a decentralized sharded search, right? Some people aren't seeing it. Oh, yeah, I haven't tested this on many browsers, so I know that it works on Android and I know that it works on Chrome. Um, but I haven't tested it on like Safari or iPhone browsers and stuff like that. So, um, yeah, if you're on anything that I don't have, maybe that's a problem. Maybe get Chrome or try Firefox, perhaps. I'm not sure about Safari. Uh, so yeah, like, this is hitting everything, and search was a real nightmare because it's like you've got all these different places where you need to go and search for something, and then how do you efficiently collect all those search results in such a way whereby you're able to aggregate them in some kind of sensible order back at the client being the web browser, and do so in such a way whereby if one of these if one of the shards doesn't have anything to return, the other shard is able to give enough information that you can build a decent set, right? So let's say that I wanted to receive 10 tweets that had the hashtag Bitcoin, right? And let's say I've just got two shard groups in the network. So I go to both of those shard groups and I say, okay, I want 10 max limit of 10 items from you guys for Bitcoin, right? Now, what happens if they in the crude sense you say, well, that's okay, I'll just ask them both for 5, right? And then they'll return me 5. Well, what if one of them doesn't have anything that references Bitcoin and the other has 10? But I've only asked them both for 5, right? So I only get 5 back. Really, I wanted 10, but I've only got 5. So, and then if I get 5 and 5 from each, it's like, okay, well, how do I order these, right? Do I go strictly on timestamps or do I do something differently? So search in a sharded environment is a nightmare, and to do it quickly and fast as well was a real pain point. So you'll better respect the search. It drove me nuts. And like hashtags and stuff. I mean, there's pagination in here as well, right? So I'm not just getting 10 here. As I'm scrolling down, you'll see that. I've gone through all of the Bitcoin hashtags. See, what else have we got? Let's look at New Year. New Year will probably give me a ton. Like this is loading new search results as I'm scrolling down as well. So, I mean, there's such a lot of work in that. I mean, that's a massive hashtag as well. Anyway, actually, that actually didn't seem to be working as I expected it. What was that doing? Let's go with. That didn't actually look like it was working, guys. Hold on. See, this is how fickle the search is. What have I broken? I should definitely have asked for more stuff. I've broken something. Anyway, you know. Okay, let's have a look at some of these comments in here. I'm sure there's a lot by now. Pyramid schemes. Who's talking about pyramid schemes? No pyramid schemes on my watch. Thank you very much. Just a suggestion for the next time, a dumbed down explanation why this is actually incredible. Helps people grab the concept. Okay. Here's a dumbed down version, right? So at the moment, if you have a website, right, and you're providing some service to your customers, you're going to host that website somewhere, right? Probably AWS or Google Cloud or somewhere, right? Because it's just easier to do it that way. So you've got centralization point number 1, right? If AWS goes down or AWS don't like the content you're serving, your website goes offline. And that infrastructure is running on top of the internet. Now, the internet, from a protocol point of view, is very decentralized, but from a authority point of view, is not, right? You've got DSS people, companies, ICANN, that manage domain names, DNS names, all this kind of stuff. So if the domain registrar doesn't like the content that you're serving on your website, well, they can shut your domain off, right? Or the government if it's really bad stuff. So that's centralization point number 2, right? So if you want to avoid the risk of the internet going down, or maybe your domain registrar doesn't like what content you're publishing, even though it's legal, right? They may shut it down, or they may go offline, or they may disappear, or whatever. There's multiple failure points when you're running a business online or providing a service online that could mean it just disappears, right? And you're screwed. And so what blockchain and DLT allows you to do is it allows you to have kind of critical data, if you like, right, on a blockchain. But if your web service goes down, your HTML service, your JavaScript, what your clients are actually interacting with, even if you have all your backend data somehow on a ledger, right, so that it's not susceptible to AWS on the back end. Somebody's still got to serve your front end. Someone's still got to serve the HTML, the JavaScript, the images, and all that kind of stuff. And so that again is going to be AWS or Google Cloud or whatever, unless you're smart enough to set up your own infrastructure with dedicated servers in multiple locations and figure out all the load balancing and all that kind of stuff that you're going to need. Right? It's just much easier to just stick it at Google Cloud or AWS or Azure. So your backend's safe, all of your critical data might be safe, right? Who your customers are, and you can encrypt all that stuff, whatever. But your front end is still susceptible, and the front end is where you pull your customers into. And if that goes away, your customers can't do anything. So what this is demonstrating is you can have everything on a decentralized ledger, right? And you've completely eradicated one of those centralization failure points, which is hosting provider, right? Where are the servers? Well, this is completely decentralized. There's thousands of servers here, right? It's not just on 1 or 2 AWS servers. It's on thousands and thousands of servers. It'll never go offline. Your front end, your middleware, and your back end, and all your critical data can be on here, and it will never ever go offline, except for the circumstances where the internet shuts down, right? But then even then, you'll still be able to access your service in the Radix DLT via an IP address. If I know the IP address for a validator or for a replica, I could just punch an IP address in there. So instead of flexathon.net, if that DNS registry shut that down, then I can just go to an IP address, right? 183.214.64.32 / Twitter index HTML. Bang, it all comes back up again. Or an IPv6 address or whatever, right? So this allows you to just have extremely persistent deployments of applications, and that's what this is doing, right? This is all the critical data on the ledger, all the API code that gets called to put these tweets together, all the templates to create the HTML, all the JavaScript to drive from the browser, all the images, the icons, the user profile banners and stuff. All of that is decentralized, right? There's no way to take this down short of an EMP device and taking out the entire internet, which who cares about Twitter clone, right? So that's the dumbed down version of what this is. Hopefully that helps. Is this still running? Are you guys bashing it to death? Images are going a little bit slower, but that's cool. Yeah, there's no scripter in here. So what Cassandra is it has that's going to distract me if that keeps ticking over while I'm looking at things. Cassandra's more about the execution and state model. There is a low level scripting language in here, but it's one that's been made for purpose, so I can move fast with testing the state model and the execution model. So it's not Scripto, it's just some home baked, cobbled together scripting language, so I can test stuff. But there are no actual kind of like real smart contracts and stuff in here, or Scripto type things. This is all just driven by your kind of vanilla web tech. You got a bit of JavaScript. I've got jQuery that's doing most of the front end query stuff. I've got a simple REST API on the validators, which this can call to request, for tweets and stuff, right? It's a nice thin API as well, and it's content agnostic, so it could be anything, which is why I can run Twitter and Flappy Bird on the same instance, right? Or any website. You might need to modify the website to some degree to actually. It's not an exact copy for copy, right? There's a little bit of work that you have to do on some websites to get this to function, but it's nothing that your general kind of web dev couldn't do. You can deploy anything on here, right? So there's nothing that's too bespoke for this particular demo, which is how I wanted to keep it, right? Because if it needs all these fancy magic bits and pieces underneath, then it's not really, I don't think that's a convincing demo, right? Or at least it's not a convincing demo to convince somebody who's very skeptical. Whereas if you're just using all vanilla tech, it's much easier, right? Or stuff that's just easily explainable. Okay. I'm probably not going to faff around with figuring out why this search isn't working tonight. It is working, but for some reason it's not paginating. And I think it definitely should be paginating. I did change some of the JavaScript in the main JavaScript file earlier on to do a few bits and pieces, so I've probably screwed it up. So unfortunately I don't have any pagination in this, but that's okay. Still see plenty. Will the Flex account? Why would you ask that? No, I'm not putting any of that on here. This is supposed to be safe for work. So anyway, thoughts? You guys still enjoying looking around? Have we found people that you're interested in? Hashtags and people on Twitter who've been radixed? Florian got an interesting question, actually. Do you thought about the limitations regarding the data size? Redundancy across 1,000 servers is not cheap. You can make it cheaper, though, if you use Solomon erasure codes. So basically that is instead... So you can kind of have shards within a shard, if you like, right? So let's say that there's a profile picture, right? We've got all these profile pictures, and let's say that your average profile picture is a megabyte, right? And let's say that in each shard group we've got 100 validators. So if each validator stores the profile picture, then it's cost 1 megabyte everywhere, right? So your total storage cost is 100 megabytes. But if you use erasure coding, then what I can actually do is I can split that profile picture up into 100 pieces. And each piece, there's some overhead as well. So a megabyte divided by 100 is 10k, but there's a bit of overhead, right? So it ends up being like 15k per slice, right? And each validator then only stores 15 kilobytes. Now, what's neat about that is that you can configure erasure coding, so you can say, okay, to reconstruct the original from these pieces, I need n of m. Right, and n of m can be 66 of 100 or 33 of 100, right? Depending on how you configure that, it changes from maybe 15k to 20k, or maybe it drops a little bit, it goes up a little bit. But the point is that instead of it costing you 100 megabytes in total across all those validators, it actually only costs you maybe 2 or 3 megabytes across all of those validators. So when you're storing large payloads or large amounts of data, erasure coding is a really nice way to be able to reduce that total overhead. And I've done quite a lot of testing with it as well. Towards the beginning of last year, I had about 3 months where I was just messing around with erasure coding, and kind of playing around with these different configurations and optimizations and different algorithms that can do that kind of stuff. So yeah, you can definitely reduce that overhead, especially on non-critical data, right? So like if somebody's profile picture disappeared because you weren't able to reconstruct it anymore because too many of the validators went away, never came back. It's not the end of the world, right? Somebody sees a profile picture, just to upload it again or upload another one. But you probably want to use that encoding scheme for critical stuff like transactions. Okay, what else have we got here? Well, the point is that you don't need Scripto to build a decentralized Twitter. That's the whole point, right? Like these kind of your kind of traditional web applications that are largely just serving content, right? You send something and you get something back, like Twitter and Facebook, Reddit, etc. It's highly unlikely that you'll need any scripter in there. Now, if you've got a web service that's actually doing something on the back end, right? Like if you've got an e-commerce store, then maybe you have a bit of scripter in there for managing the payments and doing invoicing and reconciliation and that kind of stuff. But for simple push-pull service models like Twitter, you don't even need any scripting, right? Like there is none of the scripting language in here. Even the one that I built to do some testing with, none of that's even running here. It's just API, the vanilla API that is available on the Cassandra validators, and then just vanilla HTML, jQuery, JavaScript. The hybrid consensus, I'm not sure yet. There's still quite a bit of work to do there. Needs to be properly validated, properly tested. I'm still working on it, so I can't really do that until I've completed both the theory and the implementation. And I'm at the point where the theory and the implementation are kind of a little bit interlinked, so that I can cover off both sides before I finish the paper off. But then I wanted to get back into coding a bit more because I hadn't really done much on Cassandra since June, prior to the mainnet, and I'd got to the point in the paper where it's like I'm not sure exactly what the mechanism is for timeouts, and so I had a bunch of theoretical ideas, but then I needed some empirical testing to figure out which one was maybe the best, or at least to help me to get there. So it's part of the reason why I jumped back into Cassandra again. I see lots of tweets happening. I'm not going to look at them now. I'm going to look at them afterwards. Hopefully, you guys are pounding Twitter with the most wonderful screenshots of all of this stuff. I'm just going to check to see if you guys have caused any kind of slowdown in the feed import. I'm hoping not, or at least not significantly. Where are we here? Oh, you haven't even touched it. It's dropped 2 TPS on average. Okay, well, we'll see how much it drops when I post that link on Twitter and other places after this Twitch. So opening up the Cassandra APIs is something that is a possibility. I'm actually currently having a couple of conversations with some other groups where I'm demonstrating some technology, some Cassandra tech to them, and they would like to have some API endpoints, and the API endpoints are there. I just haven't documented them yet. Now, chances are I'm probably going to provide these API endpoints to these different groups. I'm not going to say who they are because I don't want to do the usual crypto thing of saying names and then everyone thinks there's a partnership when there isn't. I'll probably just open it up, right? So when we do kind of community Cassandra tests that are long-lived, where you guys are running validators as well, and you're helping me test some stuff, got some documentation for the API endpoints on Cassandra. Maybe you can build a few things, but the API endpoints in Cassandra do not look anything like the API endpoints for mainnet, and do not represent the API endpoints for any future networks. These are simple, basic API endpoints that I just put together because I needed them to be able to do some testing kind of stuff, right? So the API is very thin, it's very basic, and it's just in place because I needed an API, right? That's the only reason it's there. So don't read more into it than that. Okay, what else we got going on? I found Peachy. Is Peachy in there? Surely not. That would be even I'm not in there yet. Can't be. Oh, someone said Peachy. I guess not. Someone on Discord is getting error 1020. What are we talking? Has somebody posted this in Discord? I hope not. That wasn't the deal. Well, yeah. Error 1020 is that isn't that rate limiting? Someone's bashing it too much. Can somebody get me a link? Oh, yeah, because I fooled you. You will get 1020 on that because you need the access bit, and it's got, otherwise the firewall gets you and tells you to go away. So don't post a new one yet. I just wanna finish this Twitch off with you guys. Get to the top of the hour. Make sure that everything on the cluster is okay and that we haven't caused any bad issues. That means I can't do a public post. Why are people saying oof my bad? Who's done what now? Who's done what now? Oh, someone's posted the actual link on Twitter. Oh well, never mind. I'll do an official one after this anyway. It's okay, Peter, don't worry about it. I mean, yeah, you're probably not going to find yourself in here for a while. I've only got 1% of the feed, right? So I don't even think I'm going to be in here. I'd be very surprised if I am. No, I mean, and we're still only at, what time are we at? 4 p.m. on the 1st of January 2021. I wasn't even up at 4 p.m. Right? I was still nursing my rum-induced hangover at 4 p.m. No way. So yeah. Anyway, so I guess that's that. Oh, you're going to see the developer console? No, it's not. I was trying to figure out what was going on with the search, why it's not paginating. Sorry. It's, yeah. I changed a bit of JavaScript to make some of the updates a bit more efficient and to make the stream automatic rather than being a button to press, because it just felt a bit meh. There is a little, I put this in as well. There's a little bit of a description about what you're looking at when people use it. And yeah, I've obviously screwed something up with the search trigger that goes off and gets another 100 items or whatever. So, but I mean, it's okay. It doesn't matter too much for this demo. I wonder if any of these cool people. I wonder if our good friend Burb is in here. I like Mr. Burb a lot. Let's see if Mr. Burb is in here. Ooh, I've got a slow one. Mr. Burb isn't here. Although, no profile picture, no banner. I don't know what the hell's going on with that there. But, oh wow, Mr. Burb has been a busy boy. So, on the 1st of January, he was at 121,000 followers, and I'm sure he's about to breach 400,000. No way. Shit, yeah, he is. Wow, he's put on 300,000 followers since January. That's crazy. Mind you, the guy's a machine. How's you going to developers think with erratic stuff like this? You mean on mainnet? So that's gonna. I mean, the APIs that are on mainnet right now, you could probably do some basic stuff. Um, Obviously, you wouldn't want to import Twitter onto mainnet, right? That would cause a lot of problems for the poor validators, and it will cost you a fortune, and it would take forever because of the kind of throughput cap, I guess. Um, Before you're able to, I mean, your best bet for building stuff and actually building stuff is Babylon. Alexandria is obviously coming out end of this year, but that's more of a kind of test net. So Babylon will be your first proper main net where you can do a lot of scriptary stuff and build things. Um, and Xi'an is a ways out. But I do want to have some kind of more long-lived test nets for Cassandra. So even though you won't be building to specification, if you like, we could probably align the APIs on Cassandra if it proved to be popular with the mainnet APIs to some degree, so it was at least kind of more unified. But there won't be any scripter in Cassandra. So, but if people want to build cool prototypes on something that looks and feels a little bit like Xi'an will, then we could definitely do that over time and get a feel for maybe the different mindset that you have to think about when you're building in very sharded environments, which you'll all be very happy that Scripto is intended to abstract that away. Okay. I think that's about it. Unless anyone's got any more questions, that's my stream. You guys have got the URL. I'm going to post it on Twitter and stuff shortly. I've got rate limiting turned on here, so we shouldn't have any people DDoSing this down. I've got all rate limiting set up on the requests that come in. So if some asshole over in crypto space decides that they don't like this demo and they start to flood it, they'll just get rate limited. If you're getting 1020, then you've gone to the wrong place. This is the link. You need to put that in first, and if you go to a new device, you need to put that in, because that access 920 that gets you past the firewall. So this is to prevent people that when I'm testing and building things, that people just can't hit flexathon.net and mess up my day, right? So I have these access tokens when I give URLs out, and then once I've finished doing a demonstration or whatever, I'll kill that access token and create a new random one, and then when I'm next ready to do some kind of demonstration or whatever, then I got a new URL. Obviously, eventually, I will just want this thing to just run with various test nets running on it, Twitter, and maybe we can do a Reddit and whatever. But for now, I'm just trying to keep a bit of control around when these demos run, so that I can actually use them for the purpose they're intended for, which is helping me do development research. Okay, so I think that's a wrap for me. You guys continue playing. Like I say, it's going to be up until the early hour, probably tomorrow morning, actually. And I'm probably going to get something to eat, and then I'm going to smash the socials with that link. And yeah, just this is going to run all night, so it's probably going to get to a couple of maybe 10, 15 million imports overnight. So you should definitely see a lot more content in there in a few hours and first thing in the morning. So yeah, cool. Promote it, take videos, take pictures, smash it everywhere. Let's show all these other crypto products what they're up against, and let's see how they feel about it. So there you go. Twitter, decentralized, on the ledger, everywhere, yet nowhere. See you guys.